Hi Mallika, welcome to Zoom.
Thank you.
Mardaani 3 is out, people are loving it, and it has become the highest grossing female-led film.
Isn't that amazing?
It is. So when you were offered Mardaani 3, often we see Mardaani, the entire franchise is very antagonist heavy. While Rani is the super solid cop, the antagonist is equally solid. Did that thought ever intimidate you?
I think characters are, joyous places to go into. So, yeah, there is excitement and there is like, how am I going to solve this problem or how am I going to handle that issue? But no, it's not intimidating. I think what is, a heavy thought is the fact that one is actually picking up a very relevant reality that Amma exists, in society, and that she's a product of something that is that society has done to her. People who were supposed to protect someone like a vulnerable person didn't, and that has led to this this villain, this mega villain that we see on screen. I think those are the heavy thoughts, and I think it's something for all of us to reflect on as to what happens to vulnerable people, around us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Amma is the character, for her there's no redemption. She's out and out grey. She has no regrets for what she does. When you read the part for the first time, how did you perceive this character?
I remember telling Abhiraj this on set once. He said, why don't you increase that a little bit more? And I remember thinking about it and I said to him, Abhiraj, Amma doesn't know she's evil. The thing is that she is playing by the rules of the gutter. That's the world she has to work within, and she's operating from that space. So for me, I think the challenge was to humanize her. I wanted to not play her as someone who's irredeemable. Actually, there are many, many redeeming qualities to her. In fact, Shivani Roy's character also turns around and she says, she is not going to break. She's not someone who is going to tell. And that strength of character, I mean, it's on the wrong side of morality, no doubts about that. But I don't see her as an irredeemable character. I see her as a product of systemic, rot of structural violence. Roy's character actually says कि ऐसे 100 मैंने देखे हैं, when she shoots her point blank, and that's a fact कि वो एक और खड़ी हो जाएगी वैसे, because the problem is not being addressed, because the problem is really much larger. So I think for me, the character of Amma was challenging insofar that I wanted, also one is, one wants to make sure that a villain is not entirely simple and, two-dimensional. There's no point in that, right? So a character that has multiple dimensions is kind of like complex and it's rich. So that's the kind of people we are as well, as human beings also, we are constantly encountered by what is right, what is wrong, what is justice, that question, If you look at the film, actually Amma doesn't use any violence anywhere, funnily enough, So it's an interesting character and I wouldn't call her irredeemable.
Did you judge Amma?
As a human being, of course I know which side of the law I want to be in. So yes, I have judgment. But are we judgmental of the characters that we play as actors? I think there is a very beautiful separation that one has to do, to enter somebody else's value system, to enter somebody else's circumstances and empathize with it. So I think that is a process of growing for an actor, you know. So no, I didn't judge her badly. Yeah.
Also, the character is called Amma. That also means she has maternal instincts. How did you channel that maternal instincts while being so sinister?
I think, you know, for me, it's a very interesting idea that a woman, there are certain tropes that she's somebody's wife, she's somebody's sister, she's somebody's mother, and then you step away and you look at the world around you. There's also a professional. You know, there is also a woman who goes to work. And this woman, she is the queen pin of a beggar mafia. So she's that too. She wouldn't have, you know, Amma is not a name.
Yeah.
You know, Amma is a khitab. Somebody has called her that, and that's why everybody else calls her that. You know, so as a child, obviously that's not the main, that's not the name that you would have been given, right? Like any other woman, you're not born with this, you know, this responsibility that now you have to be a mother, right? Those are also choices that women are allowed to make. And I think the maternal nurturing instinct, sometimes we simplify it too much and say that belongs only to a woman. I've known many men who are maternal and mothering and, you know, nurturing. So sometimes I feel that it's important to move away from very simple stereotypes of what a woman ought to be.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's possible to think outside that as well. In terms of Amma's character in Mardaani, I think the way she deals with the children, it's a twisted kind of manipulative kind of character, but she's also showing them a future, you know, when she says, Samandar dekha hai kabhi, I'm going to take you to that beautiful, open freedom, you know. And in some ways, her own psyche is intertwined with that in terms of like, at the end of this, there is some freedom, some great, bright, shining future that we are heading towards, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting line of thinking.
There are so many scenes that actually played with the audience's minds and hearts, which is that one part about Amma that tricked you as an actor.
You know, I think the character of Amma, the whole of it, no, that someone like that exists and is walking on the streets. I mean, that वो एक दिल दहलाने वाली चीज़ है, you know, that one has to reckon with, you know. In the scenes, many of the things that happen in the film, those are meant to sort of like also bring you to an awareness that that kind of violence exists. But for me, it's really the whole character. No? I can't pinpoint कि एक ये चीज़ है that was like most frightening for me. For me, literally the most frightening aspect of playing Amma is the fact that someone like her is out there. You know, that's where I want to, and that we have made it happen.
Yeah.
Hmm?
And you are the first female antagonist in the entire Mardaani franchise.
Yeah.
Is this the beginning of a new wave of female antagonists and how they are being written now? Earlier, it was a very different way of projecting them, but do you think Mardaani 3 will now bring a major shift to it, make female antagonists meatier and even human also?
I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so. So one of the things is that it's a very empowering thing for actors to find characters like this. You know, where you know, to have a woman who's the head of a mafia is a very cool thing. You know, in cinema. I mean, I'm sure what is out there in real life is something that we don't need to discuss here. But in cinema, in mainstream cinema, to see something like that is very, very empowering, and I'm glad that Mardaani is setting that trend.
Do you think with films like Mardaani 3 or Mardaani franchise, the society will change towards kids, towards women?
I think um, work that comes out like this, like popular cinema, I think it goes a very long way in terms of creating an awareness and hopefully a conversation, in people about these things that are actually very, very important for us to be talking about. But will it change society? I think that's putting a very big burden on actors and the process of making film. I think it's very important to keep your political compass strong, to say the things that are meaningful, that you feel are truthful, and put it out there. And not ban them or something like that. Have important sensitive things that you can actually say and put it out to people for them to think about, because films are not saviors. No, it's every person on the street, you and I, when we get out of here and go out there, how we turn up, that's what's going to change the world. It's when we make changes in our behavior is when we find change outside. Will a film like this do that? I think it's important to say that films create a great platform for conversation and awareness. Yeah, yeah.
How does box office numbers matter to you? Do you track them very religiously?
Arey, I'm a theatre person. I love box office. So, so the thing is that as artists, we put our heart and soul into everything, and it's no different in film. You put in a lot of effort and put in a lot of money and resource into it, and you want people to go see it. You want people to appreciate it, and financial robustness of a project is as much an indicator of appreciation as anything else. So it's not the only marker, absolutely, but it's nice to hear that people are buying tickets and money is coming back into the, into your coffers. It's lovely, yeah.
Theatre or camera? What is easier for you?
Never. Don't ask these questions, please. I mean, why do I have to choose something when I can do both?
Absolutely. What's next for Amma now?
Hopefully rest. Amma is gone with a bang. So, and the fact that she's been loved so much, I mean, I'm so grateful for that, yeah. So, what is next for Amma? Hopefully, continued love, and and I'm happy to be part of the villains of the Mardaani franchise, to be one of them. Yeah.
Which is your favorite Mardaani villain till now? Besides Amma, of course.
Now you're making me choose between two people. See, I think, because of doing the film, I actually went back and saw both of them.
Really?
And I think both of them done such a brilliant job, and I'm too much of a person who loves actors and acting, so to make a comparison of which one is better, which one is worse. I think every actor brings their uniqueness to something, and it's worth celebrating. I think both of them are really quite remarkable.
You and Rani Mukerji had a face-off scene in the film, which is also shown in the trailer. Can you decode the scene for me? How did it how did you all execute the scene? What happened behind the cameras? How did you break the ice with Rani Mukerji?
As I've said before, we actually shot separately. So she shot her scenes by herself, and I shot my scenes separately. In some ways, I think now when I think back, it's actually wonderful because I only had to imagine what the character of Roy would feel like. When I was provocative. I didn't really know it, and that helped me perform. And I'm hoping that that's what would have happened on the other side as well. The face-off was very interesting because it's that moment where you see two people on two sides of the law willing to go to any length to get what they are have got their mind set to. So and they talk about madness on both sides. मुझ में ये पागलपन है, उसमें भी वो पागलपन है. So that idea of madness and unhingedness to pursue something all the way through to its end. I mean, that's really was an exciting part of the scene.
How did you look at Shivani Roy's character through Amma's lens?
She's just a a hindrance, isn't she? She's just in Amma's way, and Amma will do anything to get her out of her way. That's it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mallika. Lovely speaking to you.
Yeah.